Welcome to the Tissue Box Podcast. I'm your host, Pam Jordan. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Tissue Box Podcast. I'm your host, Pam Jordan. So happy to have our guest today, Mr. Antwain Lyde. How are you?
I am feeling elated.
Oh, I like that. Elated.
Elated.
That's a nice word.
Super happy to be here.
Well, we're so happy to have you here today. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Florence, South Carolina, born and raised.
Born and
In
raised.
Florence, graduated from Wilson.
Okay, Tiger.
Left right after college. Didn't come back until maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. Created a Courtney's Cupcakery. Is a part of my entourage of things.
Okay.
That I endeavors that I have. Inspirational.
Businessman, I like that.
Yeah, inspirational speaking is my purpose.
Nice.
I don't know. I'm just a simple guy here to inspire.
Well, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
So, what was it?
Inspirational
speaking. So you do that on a regular?
Yeah. I'm just getting into it. I just found my purpose kind of like two or 3 months ago, though.
Wow.
So that was something I asked myself for like 2 years. What my purpose was, what would I do for free, what I enjoy, and it's inspiring people. So
That's interesting that you say that. So how do you find your purpose? Because I hear that a lot. A lot of folks say, I don't know what my purpose is.
Right.
How do I find my purpose? How did you find your purpose?
Man, it takes a lot. For me, it took a lot of self-work and digging into myself, trying to figure out the things that I enjoy most, try to just find a purpose first, not chasing money, just trying to be as purposeful as I can, and just asking myself those questions, like what is it that I enjoy most? Or if I had all the money and all the time, what would I do with that time?
Yeah.
And the thing that I would do is inspire people.
Where do you think that came from? Do you have a history in your family background of inspiration and inspiring people? Where do you think that came from?
I think it came from me needing inspiration at one point.
Good. Yeah.
Me just figuring out that's something that probably would have helped me develop earlier and finding purpose. My mom used to always listen to Les Brown. Like growing up, she used to listen to him a lot, and I used to love what he was saying, but could never really see myself doing it. And then once someone asked me to do it, and it was me playing sports. It was the only thing that gave me that same feeling before you walk out on the court or on the field, that anxious, exciting feeling. And then after those, finding out that kids really need, because it's more so teenagers that I'm speaking to now, but
Okay, that's awesome.
them needing it. It just fell into place. It was a gift.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they need it. And
Absolutely.
they need it. So the whole purpose of the Tissue Box Podcast is to change generational traumas. And we find that a lot in our Black families, especially with youth and what kids are going through the days. Back in the day, we had none of this stuff that kids have these days.
Right.
The technology. We get outside and play in the street
Right.
or in the backyard and stuff like that. It was simple then. But now there is so much more for kids to get into. And it's like the television, the video games, that's what's raising them.
Right. Right.
And kids are struggling and they're having a hard time, especially our young Black men.
Right.
Which is bringing me to this question of your community service.
Yeah. My community service, you mean like why? Why I feel like it's important to do it, or what I'm doing?
Both.
Okay. I feel like it's important because, who else gonna do it?
Right.
If you individually don't start it. Like I can only control what I'm doing. And if I see that there's something that needs to be happening, I can't sit and wait for, I'm hoping that somebody does this, or I hope that this happens, or because the odds of it happening, if it was going to happen, it probably would have been a speckle of it happening. So for me, when I see that it's a need for the community to be have a Band-Aid over it, or the community to be watered, I don't mind being that person. You know, I don't mind. I've been through things. I'm from this community, so for me, the most valuable thing that I can offer to my community is, you know, providing the youth with what I wish I had.
Your service.
Yeah.
And so you think that comes from you needing the inspiration when
Right.
you were young.
Right. I mean, I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest of 5 of a single parent.
Wow.
You know, so and not having, you know, a whole lot of men. You know, I have my uncles and my cousins, but not having that inspiration for myself, other than my mom working 2-3 jobs and me having to grow up.
I know all about that.
Yeah, so it's like seeing that, and you know, not being able to go and speak or hear or, you know, just talk to somebody. I mean, it makes you think if you're a thinker, you know. So for me, I decided to be that.
Wow.
You know, like I decided to.
That's
get out
that's
there and
pretty
do that.
awesome. And shouts out to your mom for
No,
raising
for
5
sure.
kids.
5 of them.
Wow.
5 of
And
us,
working
by herself.
multiple jobs. Women be
did.
doing it.
Yeah, I don't know how y'all. I don't know. I
Women
don't
be
really know how
doing
y'all do
it.
that. I don't understand how y'all do it, but she did it and she made it look easy.
Wow.
You know, like nobody could really ever see our struggles. We just dealt with it, and she made it a team thing.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? She had like
That's awesome.
a starting 5 almost, and I was the captain.
Yes.
You know, so she made it easy for us. Easy as she could make it for us. But you know,
And
with
I'm
that,
sure there were times that she was just dirt tired, didn't
Right.
know right from left, didn't know which way to turn, which way to go.
Yeah.
But you guys never saw it.
Well, I think I saw it because I was so aware. I saw it earlier than she probably thought I did.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because you can be going through something. You know, there was times I could hear her crying in the room and stuff like that. Like young, but you know, I just knew that it wasn't always gonna be like that.
Wow.
You know, so now, slowly but surely, you know, all of us are adults, yeah, and we have our own struggles, but we have a strong family unit because
That's
of that.
awesome.
Yeah, we
That
tight.
is awesome. When you have that, there's nothing better.
We tight.
Because there's so many people out here who don't have that
Right.
support, you know. And when you were born and raised in that kind of support, it changes your whole life.
Yeah.
And then when you don't have it, you've seen it. You've seen
Right.
people who don't have what you have growing up.
Right.
What does that look like for you? What do they look like to you?
Well, it depends. It depends on the person, the situation, and their mindset for real. You know, like I know I've learned that no circumstance is permanent and it doesn't make you. You know, so, you know, even if they didn't have what I had, that family unit that we had, or that structure that she made, the envelope with, y'all better have this done before I get home. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Even if they didn't have it, but they were able to do that self work and figure themselves out and figure out what it was that they need and the things that they went through and how it's affecting them as adult, and kind of practicing changing that on themselves. Like, I mean, people turn out good and some people don't turn out so good, but life is.
Life be lifing.
Life be lifing, but everything that we go through in our life is smaller than life, though. So,
Right.
you know, as long as we continue to just grow through it.
And you need that inspiration.
Right.
So shouts
agree
out to
with
you
you.
for what you do.
Thank
for
you.
Inspiration and all of that.
Thank you.
And,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you have a strong foundation in the community, and you are doing things to change people's lives, and that's a beautiful
Thank
thing.
you.
I commend you for that.
I
We need
appreciate
more brothers in your position. And like I said, the goal of the Tissue Box is to change trauma's narrative. We want to talk about these tough conversations that folks don't want to have,
Right.
that lead to chaos if they don't talk about it.
Right.
So is there a trauma that you have experienced that you would like to share? Do you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah.
Because we all have traumas.
We do.
You know, some of us have multiple traumas.
We do.
So if you'd like to share, we
Yeah.
definitely.
I think one of the biggest things that happened in my life, it's so many, you know, in our community, it's we kind of become great at working through them, or just going through them and not dealing with them.
Pushing them up under the rug.
Right. But one of the biggest things that I feel like, one of the biggest lessons came from me getting arrested in
Hmm.
college and completely losing my identity of who I thought I was, like losing that completely and not having almost like an identity crisis
Mm.
because of how that follows you and how being young, okay,
Yeah.
in college, going to jail just for a fight and taking a plea deal like that, how far it follows you. You
Mm.
know, everything being pinned on you, you not having the money for a real lawyer, and them telling you that this is the best deal for you, and you scared because they yelling out numbers and talking using jargon that's over your head, like you don't really fully understand, and them not really fully communicating what things mean to you. You
Mm.
hearing years and years and years with this amount of time subtracted. You don't know how much time you're gonna get.
Wow.
You know, and they tell you, take this deal, and I took the deal. Later down the line, 8, 9 years down the line, me having, like I said, I graduated college, like the top 10% business student in the world
Look at you.
from an HBCU. Yeah, I got arrested and couldn't get a job at a temp agency.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? Because I took a plea deal to a violent crime. You know, that broke me. Like me not,
I can imagine.
it broke me. You know?
What about your mom?
My mom's so strong, man. Like she one of those people who are always, she's always kind of like, time gonna heal it. This too shall pass. Type of attitude. So she always, but when you going through it,
You don't
really
understand
trying
that.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't see it clear. But at that time, not being able to provide for my family because nobody will hire me. Adding them getting past the interviews, and as soon as that background check come, it's like, yo, we can't get offer letters, and as soon as the background check come, like, yo, we can't hire you.
What did that do to you mentally?
It made me feel worthless. It made me feel worth less than what I actually am, because we attach our value to that a lot. Like
Yes,
what,
we do. Yeah, we do
and
that.
we were kind of brought up like, go to school, get a good job, and
Exactly.
when you go to school and you do what you're supposed to do in school, and you can't get a good job because you made a mistake and you couldn't afford to get out of it, like it kind of damages you. I attached my value to that at that time, being able to provide for my family financially, being able to do the things that I desired to do, and then I don't have no money coming in, I don't have no savings, and I can't get a job. That did a lot to me, and that's how Courtney's Cupcakery came about, actually.
Yeah.
From that moment, yeah. So we
So
built it up
when
for
you
that.
were down, like to your lowest, because I'm thinking that had to be your low point. How did
That
you
was the low
dig
point.
yourself out of that?
Oh, man.
What? Because I'm thinking, when you're at rock bottom, how do you climb out of rock bottom? Especially when you say that, you didn't necessarily have that inspiration, the support to look to for that inspiration. How did you claw your way out of that to triumph?
Man, it was a process. It was a long process, and it was day by day. So one
Because
of the
surely there were days you didn't feel like doing nothing.
man, it was days that I didn't feel like being here. I never had suicidal thoughts ever,
Okay.
but I could understand why people do though, because you don't see that light.
That's
That is
big,
like you
yeah.
walking through a tunnel with no light in it. So one of the things that I did was I started practicing minimalism. So I had like 48 items. So you walked into my apartment and it was kind of like a hotel room. Nothing on the counters. Decluttered my dressers just to try to clear my mind. That was the first thing I did. Started practicing
How
minimalism.
did you get that? How did you find that? How did that work for you?
It was a Netflix. It was on Netflix. It was a show on Netflix called The Minimalist or something like that.
Okay.
And cause I don't watch TV, but if it's educational and I feel like it'll help me, I'll watch it.
Okay.
So I watched that and I kind of understood what it was saying. So I started practicing that. So I was trying to redefine myself, find myself to be able to redefine myself.
Yeah.
So I had to get rid of everything that I was emotionally attached to, like materialistic stuff, because that I feel like that's one of the things that causes a lot of problems is emotional attachment to things.
Things.
So I got rid of the things. Then so I wrote down 5 things that made me feel good when I did them, like getting a haircut, working out, creating an idea that could generate income. You know, so I wrote those things down, and every time I felt like, because it's all of a sudden, every time I felt like I don't feel like I'm worthy of even walking this earth right now,
Wow.
I would do one of those things, and so that kind of helped me a little bit. And then one day, probably like 9-10 months, I woke up and all of that was gone. So I kind of found my value that was within me. I stopped seeking it from outside. You know, nothing anybody could tell me.
That's a major revelation right there.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the biggest thing with the traumas is people can't be themselves if they don't know who they are, and that's a thing that
That's
a lot
big
of
and
people
that's
deal
good.
with.
That's so big,
Yeah.
so good.
I had to find myself. I had to find myself and redefine myself. Find purpose. What's
And
important to
that's
me.
not always a fun journey when you have to
ain't fun.
find yourself.
It ain't fun, and it's hard, super hard, because it's a lot that we deal with. Like you said, we sweep under the rug, and it don't go away.
Yeah.
It's still
It
there.
rears its ugly head
Yep. You could try to
at the
step
most
over it.
inopportune times. You know,
Right.
you come out, you angry for no reason. You're doing things that don't make sense for
Right.
no reason. Did you shut out a lot of people when you were going through that process? How did you feel emotionally? What kind of space were you in? Because I'm thinking if you're that low, what do you do? Because I'm thinking everything you think of is like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know which way to go.
Right.
Where am I emotionally? What do I do? What is my next move gonna be? I don't know whether to run. I don't know whether to walk. I don't know whether to crawl. I don't know whether to scream. You know, what do you do with all those feelings and all those emotions when you're trying to find yourself?
You learn about them. So you and I know mental health is a major thing, especially in black men, right? But I
Yes.
feel like the mental health comes from the lack of emotional intelligence. Like we don't really know, we don't ask ourselves the questions about our feelings because we don't supposed to feel, you know. So by us not asking ourselves those questions and not understanding what we feeling, we ain't gonna know why we feel the way we feel because we don't know what we feel. So not only do we not know what we feeling, we don't know why we feel this way, and now we're just being reactive.
Oh my God.
You know, so that understanding what you feel, I would say. And because that's something that I asked, this is all before I went into therapy, because I did do therapy as well.
Oh, you did do therapy.
Yeah,
Okay.
so understanding what I'm feeling and why I feel the way that I feel, and me understanding that kind of made me be able to think a lot clearer,
Oh,
you know, and
that's
it kind of gave me more power. It empowered me to change what it was that I was feeling because I understood it.
so good.
Yeah, so that was the biggest thing. So if anybody that's will be going through something like that, I will first be like, I will tell them to try to gain clarity on what it is that they feeling. You know, be able to define that.
But it wasn't easy for you. It was difficult. It's a
Heck yeah.
difficult process. And see, there's a lot of folk who don't want to face the difficulty.
Got to. Because
You know-
not facing it probably got you where you at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the path that you're going down right now is not helping.
Mm-hmm.
It's as a matter of fact, it's making it worse.
Right.
So how much worse off can you be, you know, just to try to do something different?
Yeah.
But you got to have the mental clarity to be able to think that through,
Right.
to say, you know, maybe I need to do something different.
Right. Yeah.
But if you're stuck in that other mode, that's where you're going to be. And you alienate a lot of people by doing that.
Right. And yeah, that was the question you asked. I never really had a whole lot of people around me though.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always kind of introverted.
Man.
So it's not like nobody knew except for Courtney. Nobody knew what I was going through. She showed me a picture the other day in the middle of me being depressed while I was smiling, and it scared me.
Oh.
You know, because you can't see it. Like when you don't, nobody could really know. You oftentimes hear people, they probably commit suicide,
Yeah.
and nobody knew what they was going through because they was always the same person. That's how I was. I was always the same exact person, always smiling, always wanting to help people, but I felt like I was dying inside.
Even when you felt like you were dying inside.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, I was almost like trying to trick myself into being okay, and not feeling and not understanding, like most men, most black men, like that it's okay to feel this way. And I'm a human. One thing I don't understand is, you know, how am I not supposed, a black man not supposed to feel when he a human? Like, we humans.
I need you to ask that question again a little louder so everybody can hear.
It's crazy to me, you know, like if you're a human, you have emotions built inside of you.
Right.
Why am I not supposed to express those emotions? That's crazy to me. That's it sounds like the key ingredient to destruction for me. So I never agree when people say that about black men, and I just want black men to understand that you are a human. You are a being having a human experience. Yeah. And by having that human experience, it's going to come with emotions. Try to understand those emotions.
You got to understand the emotions. Just try to understand it.
Right. You know, and talk to people.
And talk
to somebody.
Talk to somebody. That's the important thing. And having conversations. The whole point of the Tissue Box podcast is to have these difficult conversations because, they're difficult, but accountability. You got to be able to look at yourself and say something is not right.
Right.
How do I get to right? I'm trying to get to the next level. How do I get there? I need to have these conversations.
Right.
Who do I need to have these conversations with? Yeah. You know, and you spoke of Courtney. How was she dealing with your lowest point?
She was, I don't really know how she did it. You know, like she just trusted me to be strong enough to work my way through it. She let me do what I felt like I needed to do. It was some mornings where I'll get up 2:30 in the morning because you ain't sleeping like that when you're going through those things, and I'll leave my phone on the nightstand and I'll tell her, like, man, I'm just gonna go walking until I have some sense of identity. Like I have to know who I am. I have to understand who I am. And she just, the minimalism, she was a real partner.
Oh.
You know, she was a real partner during that time.
That's great. That had to mean a lot.
Yeah.
Because how were you in sharing those things with her? Because there's a lot of things I understand because it's not real easy to do, and especially your partner, somebody who is depending on you. You don't want to let them down.
Right.
You know? Yeah. So I imagine that had to be difficult for you, black men in general, you know? But being able to talk, because a lot of them just won't say anything. And then we sisters are left trying to figure out what's going on.
Understandably so, though, because sometimes when you're going through it, just like, you know, we can't, in the same breath, we can't say that society says men aren't supposed to feel and then expect men to be able to feel comfortable enough expressing those feelings.
Right.
You know, we can't say that in the same statement, because even though we should have somebody to talk to and you could talk to your partner, sometimes it hurts worse when you express yourself at your lowest point and then they get mad and they use it against you. That brings you to a lower level, you know, so there's a fear in black men because it happens. It's probably like 50-50 to be honest.
Yeah,
you know?
I can believe that.
So it's I feel like, but it is important not to overwhelm your partner with all of your problems because they have problems too, and that's where I feel like seeking some sort of counsel be of benefit.
So you recommend therapy?
Yeah, I do recommend people find that thing that that outlet. like whatever it looks like to them. I did go through therapy, and it helped me gain clarity on a whole lot of different things, but it's the relationship that you have with that therapist, though.
Oh, yeah.
You know, my first time trying therapy, I was striking out. You know, it couldn't. It's like a relationship for real.
Yeah, you gotta feel comfortable with,
Right.
with your therapist. They gotta get you, and you
Right.
gotta get them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, it was important for me to have a black woman as my therapist. Number one, because my mom, you know what I'm saying, like she was my counsel, you know, but I didn't feel like she would be able to give me what I needed at that time because I'm
You're
a
her
whole
son.
right, right. So so yeah, I definitely I definitely would recommend that you find some way to express or get that off of you and seek understanding of self, because that's what therapists, well, my therapy, it did for me. They asked me questions that made me think that only I could answer, so I had to dig within myself.
Well,
to figure that
why
out.
do you think, in your opinion, why do you think black men are afraid of therapy?
I think I don't know. I think just like I think it's almost like suing somebody, right? Like it ain't that we afraid of it. It's like you don't really know how. So it's kind of like the fear of not knowing what this process is gonna be. Or some people would try and they strike out the first time and be like, oh, now I tried therapy.
Yeah,
It ain't for me.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's so many different things. Oh, you ain't supposed to. I have homeboys that, you know, they not gonna go to therapy. You know, they don't
Why
think
is that? Why do you think they won't go?
because they don't. I think about my homeboy now, but
Tell the truth.
I feel some of my homeboys feel like you don't. Oh, I don't want to go someplace and somebody can tell me something that I already know
And
about
pay for it and have to pay for it.
and pay for it, or they'll be like, you know, talking to you or being with my homeboys. That is therapy for me, which I understand. But at the same time, you have, if you get the right person, they can help you through things that me talking to you, I don't have the expertise to be able to do.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
And you're probably in that type of environment, you're probably gonna tell them more or less what they want to hear. Because it's difficult in a situation like that to go against the grind of, you know, because they're going to cut you off and they don't want to talk to you no more. They don't want to hear that,
and they
right,
got
from
too
you.
problematic.
Exactly.
You know, they feel like you have too many problems or something like that. But yeah, I think that's probably why. Just how we grew up, you know, how we were taught. You know, nobody around me. I don't know one person growing up that looked like me, who's been through therapy. So when you're not around that, it's
You're
foreign
afraid
to
of it.
you.
It's the fear.
Yeah, or it's just a real discomfort, or ego maybe.
Yeah.
You know, that play a part in it too.
I think that's true because in the difficulty of looking at yourself, you know, the difficulty of having to answer questions that are already tough,
Right.
that you know,
For real.
right?
Yeah.
And you just flat out refuse to deal with it. And see, therapy is going to force you to look at those issues. It's going to force you to look at yourself, you know, because that's the only way that you're going to heal.
Right.
And right now, just speaking to guys out there who are not healed, you will continue to be not healed unless you start talking about what it is that's bothering you with somebody. It doesn't even have to be a therapist. You know, like one of our former guests, Dwayne, talked about he's been to therapy once, but it really didn't work for him. He was in the armed services. He was in the Army. His therapy was going to the shooting range.
Right.
You know,
Right.
whatever it is, whatever that releases, you got to have it. But I think it's so important that you have conversations, especially for the people that are around you, the people that love you, your family, your community. You got to have conversations so they can understand what it is that you're going through. Because if you alienate them, what's going to happen?
Yeah. So
You're gonna
okay.
lose
So
out.
can I ask you a question too?
Ask me. Oh, you can ask me a question.
Yeah. Okay. So how we can tell people to find somebody to talk to, because this is what I dealt with. So how though? Because it's difficult to find people to trust with
It is.
that thing. So, and sometimes family ain't even the best.
That's right.
You know,
I can agree with that.
so how if you had to tell somebody
If
the
I
first
had to tell
step,
somebody,
the first step to try to find somebody to talk to about things that they scared to deal with themselves, you know, like how would they do that?
You want to hear my answer?
Yeah.
Pray.
Oh, yeah, I can agree with you.
Pray. I mean, because like you said, it's difficult and you can't trust everybody, especially with your innermost feelings and thoughts.
Right.
You know, you can't trust anybody. So you have to pray and ask for discernment.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because you interact with people every day.
Right.
Right. And so you have to pray and ask for discernment and ask for guidance.
Right.
You know, because you've been around people you got a little feeling with and you be like, this ain't the right feeling.
Right.
You've had that feeling
Absolutely.
before, right? We
Absolutely.
all experience that.
Right.
And that's your way of knowing that's not the right person to talk to.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So my suggestion would be to pray.
Right.
You know, coming from my point of view and my standpoint,
Yeah.
that's the first thing that I would do.
I agree.
Because again, you cannot trust everybody.
Right. And
you know?
That's
so you ask for you pray for discernment.
Yeah.
And then let God lead you and guide you in the direction that he would have you to go.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
you gonna ask the questions now? You can. I don't mind.
Oh no, I just the conversation that that was a good answer though.
Yeah.
That's a good
yeah.
response.
That's what I believe in.
That's gonna help somebody.
And I know it's difficult for men because everybody doesn't believe, you know.
Right.
Me personally, I think that's why a lot of people are lost right now. But that's just me personally. But yeah, it's a difficult situation when you find yourself at a point where, you know, you're thinking the worst and you're rock bottom, and people do contemplate suicide.
Right.
Who do you turn to if you have nobody in your life to
Right.
talk to?
Nah, for real though. That's tough.
You need to have an outlet, and that's why it's so important. And I'm so thankful for what you guys do for the community and the speaking to the young people, because we got to get them when they're young, because
Right.
when they're adults, they've already made up their mind and made their decisions.
Man, out of all of the speakings I went to, the most common thing, because I'm studying while I'm speaking, and me listening to the students afterward.
Mm-hmm.
They really don't feel like, a lot of these students don't feel like they have anybody to talk to. Like
Yeah.
that's the big thing, you know. A couple of them don't feel like the guidance counselors they could talk to, you know. So it's I feel like that's one of the biggest things right now, and it's mainly the young black teenagers, the guys. You know, they don't feel like they have anybody to talk to, and they've been expressing that to me on multiple occasions at different schools.
Oh, wow.
The same thing.
So you go into schools with
Yeah.
these speaking
Yep.
engagements? Okay.
Mhm.
That's good.
Yep. Shout out to the schools that allow me to come in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so are you speaking with them like as a group or one-on-one, or
It's a
some of them pull you after your speaking engagement, said,
Yep.
we need to have a conversation? I feel you. I think it's important, first of all, that you look like them,
Right.
you know, so they feel like you can relate.
Right.
Are you sharing any of your stories with them?
Yeah. The stories that relate to the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I'm, because I have, life is a story in itself, but
Absolutely.
you know, being able to relate to them, like you said, the trauma and the triumph. You know, how becoming, decision making, emotional intelligence is something that not one student in any of the schools that I went to knew what it was. So
Really?
yeah, so
Are these high school, middle school,
school.
high school students?
High school
And they
students.
don't know what,
emotional intelligence was. But when I think about it, I didn't know what it was when I was in high school either.
right.
So, but it definitely empowers you when you do, because it gives you your power back to make better decisions. What these kids dealing with now, these young black teenagers, their circumstances, and then what their circumstances are making them feel, and not knowing how to manage what they feel, so they're just getting
Reacting.
active. Yeah, so it's but when I feel, and I could be wrong, once they figure out that their circumstance can make them feel that way, but once they understand what they feel, they got the power to make whatever decision they want to make.
Yeah.
It gives them the
Oh,
power to
yeah.
be able to change the trajectory of whatever could happen after a negative decision. They might-
Something should click right there when that happens.
yeah.
So me personally, I think there should be classes and studying in our schools on the subject. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but social studies. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, forgive me, teachers. Forgive me, principals. Forgive me, school districts. But I'm saying a class like learning emotional intelligence.
Man, yeah.
You
I
see where
agree
I'm going with this?
1,000%.
Then maybe we could kind of offset some of these things that are happening with our young men, right?
I agree.
I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but I think that's why you're here. Right?
That's why I'm here, to be able to go into these spaces and even create a space to where that could be something that's discussed.
Yeah.
Because it's important. It's everything.
Wow.
It's everything. I feel like.
So where are you now in your whole journey?
Man, I'm at a place of knowing 100% who I am, knowing where I'm going, knowing what it is that I desire to do. I wake up every morning early before my alarm. You know how they say, like, when you find your purpose, you wake up? That's very true, because I wasn't an early riser. My alarm, I probably got 10 snooze, like 10 o'clock or 6 o'clock, 6:15, 6:30.
That snooze button is not your friend.
Nah, for real. It got to the point where I ain't even snoozing. I just cut the alarm off because I know I got another one set 15 minutes out there. But I'm walking in purpose now,
That's awesome.
And it's just so ironic that as soon as I got things rolling, I got invited to your platform, and I can't express the amount of gratitude that I feel for it.
Well,
so.
You know what? We are honored to have you today, sharing your wealth of knowledge and your insights. I think it's very valuable, and I think folks are going to learn a lot by listening to this episode of the podcast and you sharing your story, how you grew up, your strong mom, what you went through in college, and how you triumphed, how you got through that.
Right.
And you building your brand, building your business, and with the help of your wife, and that's a beautiful thing. So you got to be walking with a little bit of pep in your step right about now these days, right?
Yeah, I am, because I know who I am.
That's great.
I've learned who I am, and it ain't no stopping me. I can share a story with you that a lot of people can probably relate to.
Okay.
So, on my birthday, November 8, 2018, I got arrested wrongfully. And I got arrested. It's just it reminded me of what you see on TV. I don't know if y'all ever read the Willie Lynch letter or whatever. I definitely feel like the Willie Lynch letter is happening right in front of us, with the TVs and restaurants showing black men and black women getting murdered on the news. Like, I don't, that's to me, if you ever read the Willie Lynch letter, that to me is just like the strongest black slave being tied between two horses in front of all the other males, the women and the kids, set on fire, and the horses whipped to running. That's how they, according to the Willie Lynch letter, How to Make a Slave, that's how they made slaves. That's how they trained the women to raise the young boys to be more, to respect authority, like the masters, and the young women to be independent, right? Because they don't want that to happen to their son. So when I look at things today, I see it being the same way. Like, I see these murders on these TVs and these murders happening and online, and how the entire thing is just put on
for everybody to see.
For everybody to see. It's the same thing as making women, I feel like, not want that to happen to their son, and making the young black women a little bit more independent, because the man is kind of being more developed to be submissive, because I don't want that to be my son on TV. So when you see these people, this is what you do. You're trained to act and be a certain way. So for me, I was wrongfully arrested. I got stopped, and the cop got me out of the car, and I think it was my size that frightened him when I got out the car. So he, long story short, he told me to sign the citation, and when I stepped to sign the citation, he put his hand on his gun and told me not to move. And I was like, no, first I had my hands up the entire time because I felt his energy. So he told me to put my hands down. This is the first time I'm telling this story. He told me to put my hands down, and he told me to keep my hands from by my pockets. So I kept my hands up the entire time while he did the citation. He told me to put my hands down. I was like, man, you told me to keep my hands from beside my pockets. The only way I know how to do that is to have my hands in the air, so I'm going to keep my hands up because I done seen this movie before.
You said that to him?
Yes. So he told me to sign the citation with my hands up. I took a step forward, and he put his hand on his gun and told me not to move. And I'm like, see, that's why I had my hands up, because I felt what you was trying to do. And I was like, he was like, so you not going to sign the citation? I'm like, I'm going to sign it, but you don't have to hand it over to me, though, because you told me not to move. So he said, so you're refusing to sign the citation? And I'm like, no, I ain't refusing. You just got to sign. You got to hand it over to me.
Right.
But I'm verbalizing it because I know it's on camera.
Right, yeah.
So he put the citation on the table, pulled out his taser, told me to get on the ground. And I'm like, bro, I was like, I can't believe this happening to me. You know, I'm doing what I'm doing. All of this is going on in the world, and I'm about to be a victim of it. So instantly,
Were you terrified?
I'm a black man in America.
Were you terrified?
I wasn't terrified. The only thing I could think about is my two sons. You know, so he put me in the car, and you know, you're on the side of the highway, so when the car's driving past on the highway, the car rocking a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, so he's like, man, if you kick this door again, I'm chilling in the back. If you kick this door again, I'm gonna tase you. And I'm like, bro, I'm just listening to you fabricate a story about how I was aggressive towards you. Can you please just take me where I want to go? And at that moment, they can take my body, not my mind, was what was going through my head. They can take my body, not my mind. So I kind of just kept chanting that in my head. They can take my body, not my mind. Got in 23, earlier this year actually. Went back to court. The video got deleted. So it ain't no like it ain't happened. And they expecting me to take a plea, and I paid for a lawyer this time. But I'm smarter though. Like I'm not. If the video got deleted, it ain't happened.
Right.
None of this happened. So
Right.
why would I plea? Why would I take a plea? So that was a moment. That's in between. George Floyd happened. So all of this stuff happened in between.
Yeah.
You know. So that was a moment where I really, you know, start to really think about the system that is kind of built against black men. And I said earlier, like, y'all black women is all we got. Y'all all we got. Because if we don't got y'all, we don't got nobody.
Wow.
Everything is built against. So I really wish the relationship between black men and black women were better, because if it was, we wouldn't, black men, the mental health issues and the emotional instability and all of the things that everybody say black men go through, I feel like if the relationship with black men and black women, it was a little bit healthier, then we both would be
It's
a
a
lot
win-win
healthier.
situation.
It's a win-win. I don't know why it's so difficult though.
I want to know why it's so difficult, because that was going to be my next question for you. Why do you think that's so difficult for us to get on the same page?
Because of what we see on TV and what we hear on the radio and what we distracted with. It's supposed to be broken down. The black family, I feel, from my studies, it's almost like a black family is public enemy number one.
Wow.
Because we so powerful together.
That's what it is. And we can't see that. We don't realize it. If we embrace that, sky's the limit.
We chasing what's right in front of us. Like we got it within each other, but we chasing it and it ain't being found. And by us chasing it, we getting further and further apart.
Yeah.
You know, and it's damaging because it's a lot going on in this world, and we gonna need each other soon.
Right. And all it takes is us to get together and be one.
Yeah.
Like it was designed to be.
Right.
I don't understand. We can't get it right.
Yeah.
We need to get it right.
Yeah. I think the main thing for the mental and emotional in Black and brown people is that we don't have each other. So by us not having each other, it's causing, we're not living the way we're supposed to be living. So it's causing so many mental and emotional and spiritual
Disconnect.
Exactly. So that's the problem. We don't have each other. That's it. Like if we had one another, if we made the decision to have one another, and I ain't not to diss any other ethnic group of people, still, show your love. But if we had one another, it's I think people fear the destruction of like how Black Wall Street was or something like that. Anytime we building something, it gets destroyed. But I mean, we being destroyed even if we ain't building it.
That's right.
So I think we need each other, man. We need y'all.
Oh,
I'm telling you.
wow. Yeah. I wish. Ooh, this is good conversation, bro. This is really good.
Yeah, for sure.
And I again appreciate your insight, what you're doing in the community, what you've been through. I definitely appreciate what you've been through, where you are now. It's the triumph over trauma.
Right. Just keep it going, man. Just keep it going. That's it.
Well, we're going to have to get you back.
Man, I would love to come back. I got questions for you.
Okay. Okay.
But I can come back.
Okay, but when you come back, promise me you'll bring some cupcakes.
Man, I got you. Red velvet. Red velvet. I got
nice. You. And I'd like to try some of that blue velvet, too.
Blue velvet.
Yeah. Let's try both. You got me?
I got you.
All right. Again. Thank you, Mr. Antwain Lyde, for being a guest on our show today, the Tissue Box Podcast. I am just honored.
Thank you.
Of your presence and the information that you shared today. Hopefully it's going to change somebody's life.
Right.
And that's the whole purpose of the Tissue Box Podcast. So again, thank you for your presence here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right. Until next time, stay tuned to the Tissue Box Podcast. Log on to thetissuebox.com. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to subscribe, leave rating, and a review. And let's stay connected. Visit thetissuebox.com to join our mailing list. Until next time.